The room was buzzing with chatter when I walked in. It was supposed to be my birthday dinner, but the way people barely glanced up, you'd think I was the waitress, not the woman who helped keep this whole family afloat. I'd picked out my outfit a week in advance. A simple, long-sleeved navy dress. I even pinned a silver brooch at the collar, one that belonged to my mother. It always made her feel steady when she had to sit among people who pretended she didn't belong. The venue was one of those polished suburban country clubs just outside of Charleston, South Carolina. Marble floors, crystal chandeliers, and enough chill in the air to make your skin prickle. I scanned the long table under the glass light fixture. One empty chair. It was at the far end, right by the kitchen doors, under a vent that blasted cold air like it was January in Minnesota. No one smiled. No one stood. Just a few tight-lipped nods and murmurs from people who'd known me for nearly 10 years, but never once treated me like I was truly one of them. I sat quietly in the last seat. The napkin at my place was peach. Everyone else had white linen. A little folded card sat there too, with the name Maria scribbled in faded ink. That's not my name. I tried to laugh it off, whispered under my breath. Guess they ran out of the nice ones, but no one heard, or maybe they just didn't care. To my left, Aunt Carol leaned in toward my sister-in-law Heather, whispering something that made them both smirk. To my right, the waiter placed a glass of water down so hard in front of me it clinked against the plate. I caught it just before it spilled. Then came the compliments. One by one, my mother-in-law strolled the table like it was a red carpet event. "Oh, Jean, that color brings out your eyes. Denise, I love that neckline on you." When she passed by me, she didn't even pause. Didn't acknowledge me, not even a glance. Across the table, my husband Alan laughed too loudly at something his brother said. He was slapping shoulders and throwing his head back like they were reliving college frat days. Not once did he look my way. I reached for the menu just to give my hand something to do, but I didn't get the chance to read it. A plate appeared in front of me, a slice of chocolate cake, dessert before the entree. The conversation around the table slowed. Then she said it. "Well," my mother-in-law murmured, swirling her wine with a smug grin, "I suppose she should be grateful to even have a seat here." The room went quiet, like someone had turned off the background music. Alan chuckled, not even turning to me. "She's right. You're just a guest. Lighten up." I didn't cry. I didn't say a word. I looked down at that peach napkin, cheap, wrinkled, with a faint wine stain from whoever sat there before me. I dabbed my mouth even though I hadn't eaten a bite. I folded the napkin neatly, wine stain up. Finally, Alan glanced at me, just for a second, and then looked away. Not dramatic. Just a quiet, cold click in my brain. Something that said, "No more." I stood up, straightened my dress. "I need some air," I said softly. It wasn't loud, but it sliced through the room like a knife through silk. Old One stopped me, not Alan, not his mother, not one of them. I walked past the bar, past the dessert table, past a couple laughing near the door. The night air hit my face cool and weightless. I didn't look back. I didn't need to. That chapter had closed the moment she called me a guest in a life I'd built. By the time I got home, the house was dark. Alan wouldn't be back until morning, probably. I walked straight into the study and flicked on the desk lamp. Warm yellow light lit up the room. My hand moved on autopilot, pulling aside a wedding photo, spinning the dial on the safe behind it. Inside was a navy folder. The label read, "Emergency Plan R. Monroe." 2 years ago, nearly to the day I'd bailed them out. Their family furniture business, Monroe and Sons, was bleeding money. The recession wiped out their orders. Their supplier pulled out. And the community that used to praise their craftsmanship now pitied them behind closed doors. Alan had come home pale, anxious. "They're going to lose everything," he said. "Mom's on edge. Dad's pretending everything's fine. Could you help?" I had the money, not because I'd won the lottery or married rich. My grandmother left me a trust, built slowly over decades through conservative investments, land, bonds. Accounts in my name, she used to say. Money's not for showing off, Ray. It's for protection. For leverage. If you're generous, make sure the paper trail has your name on it. But back then, I didn't want recognition. I didn't want them to feel like they owed me. I just wanted peace. So I said yes, but made Alan promise. No one else had to know it was me. That folder was the proof. Legal documents, transfer authorizations, routing numbers, my name on every page. His family never mentioned it again. No toast, no thank you, just air. The following Thanksgiving, his mother raised a glass. We pulled through, she said proudly, because this family works hard. We don't give up. That's why we're still standing. I had smiled, bit the inside of my cheek so hard I tasted blood, but I'd smiled, and now, 2 years later, she'd looked me in the face and said I should be grateful to be there. I looked down at the documents. They named me as the grantor of every major fund transfer. Alan's mother, his brothers, all listed as beneficiaries. They didn't contribute a penny. I opened my laptop, logged into the trust account dashboard. My grandmother's name still sat proudly at the top. Estelle M. Palmer Trust. But I held the keys now. I froze all distributions. I rerouted all passive income streams back into my private account, not out of revenge, but for clarity. The screen blinked once. Transaction complete, I whispered to no one in particular. Happy birthday, Ray. The next morning, I didn't wake up to a breakfast tray or a cheerful happy birthday text. No flowers, no apologies, just the hum of silence and a phone that wouldn't stop buzzing. I ignored it at first, letting the screen light up and fade again. But eventually, curiosity won out. 12 missed calls from Alan. 1 from his mother. No messages. Just panic in digital form. I tapped the screen and put it on speaker. Alan's voice came through, low and rattled. Hey, Ray, something's wrong with the trust account. I tried to pay the business taxes this morning and it got declined. Did you, change something? Just call me back, okay? Please. It was the first time I'd ever heard him beg. The second voicemail was worse. His mother, her tone falsely cheerful. Sweetheart, I think there's been a glitch, something with the family trust. I'm sure it's nothing. These banks always mess something up. Give me a call when you can, okay? But I knew she wasn't calm. Her voice cracked at the edges, the way it does when she's grasping for control. That plastic laugh she tacked onto the end of the message, she only used it when things were spiraling. 6 months earlier, I had warned them. Not outright, not in so many words, just a polite suggestion. Maybe hold off on buying that glass and marble office suite downtown, the one Alan's mom called her legacy headquarters. The price tag was absurd. The location wasn't even zoned for the kind of business they wanted to run. But they didn't listen. Alan said, "It's her dream, babe. Don't be cold." And I, tired of fighting, signed the authorization, quietly, regretfully. So when they were all fast asleep last night, still riding high on their smug little digs, I had quietly revoked every financial stream tied to the Palmer Family Trust. The quarterly payments, the private distributions, even the emergency backup fund. With a few keystrokes, I'd pulled the plug on the life support they didn't even realize they were hooked up to. By 7:30 a.m. a new call came in, not from the family, from a realtor. A woman managing the mortgage on the Upper Falls Co-op, registered under the Monroe & Sons business name. Hi, is this Mrs. Palmer? I'm calling about Unit 4B. We're having trouble processing this month's payment. Your name is listed on the deed. Can we schedule a time to talk? Not her name. Mine. Because when they insisted on forming the LLC under the family company, I was the one who incorporated it. I filed the paperwork. I paid the attorney fees. I kept the annual taxes up to date. They treated me like background noise, but I was the one holding the foundation together. I told the realtor I'd call her back later. Then I walked to my bedroom and opened a drawer I hadn't touched since law school. Inside was a slim black binder labeled Legal, Palmer, Trust, Advisory. I flipped past pages of jargon and dense estate clauses until I reached the one that mattered. Section 12, paragraph 4, realignment of controlling interest. I memorized that line back when Alan's father passed, and my financial advisor quietly walked me through the options. At the time, it seemed unnecessary. Now it was the key. I dialed the number I hadn't used in months. Bishop and Gray Legal. A woman answered on the third ring, brisk and professional. "Good morning, this is Rachel Palmer. I need to speak with Kendra Bishop." A brief pause, then Kendra's voice came through, calm and alert. "Mrs. Palmer, what can I do for you?" "I'd like to initiate a realignment of control within the family trust. Effective immediately." "Understood. Would you like us to notify the other beneficiaries?" "No, they'll figure it out soon enough." When I hung up, I glanced down at my left hand. The wedding band Alan had placed there 10 years ago still gleamed under the morning light. I slipped it off slowly and set it on the desk. It rolled once before settling. Silent, final. Always mistook my quiet for consent. Mistook my stillness for weakness. But what they never understood is that I was the one who'd kept the books clean. I was the one who kept the lights on, and now I was done being invisible. At evening, the family group chat exploded. Ping after ping after ping. I didn't open it right away, just watched the preview notification scroll across my screen. Alan said, "You're destroying everything." "Camille, what happened to Mom's co-op? She's freaking out." Alan again, "Call me, this isn't funny." I sipped my tea, let the chaos simmer. Eventually, I opened the chat. Attached one PDF, an updated trust control document from Kendra, signed and notarized that very morning. The file name read, Trust Control _____PL_. No message, just the document. Then I shut the laptop. I didn't respond to Alan's third call that night, but his voicemail was quieter. No anger, just confusion. "You never told me," he said. "You tricked us." I waited a full beat, then whispered to the empty room. "I told you not to use me. You laughed." That was the difference. I didn't steal anything from them. I took back what was already mine, what had always been mine. Quietly, lawfully, and fully within my rights. I didn't shout or burn bridges. I just flipped the switch that had been waiting there, ready, for the day they finally showed me who they really were. And they had. The fallout came faster than I expected. By the end of the week, Lucille, Alan's mother, was packing boxes outside her once prized co-op. I watched from a distance as movers carried out her oversized velvet chairs and faux antique cabinets, all financed by money that never truly belonged to her. She didn't look shocked, just tired and bitter, as if the world had betrayed her, rather than the other way around. I walked up the driveway slowly, a manila envelope tucked under my arm. She didn't greet me. She didn't even look surprised. Just set her handbag down with a dramatic thud and crossed her arms. "Too proud to apologize?" I asked. My voice didn't rise. I wasn't angry anymore. Just done. Lucille met my eyes for a moment, then looked away. I handed her the folder. "Keep these. You'll need them when the auditors call." Inside were copies of every transfer she'd tried to hide, every forged signature, every document that had turned the family trust into her personal piggy bank. The receipts were neatly organized, each one time-stamped, notarized, and already reviewed by my attorney. The proof of her theft wasn't just digital anymore. It had weight. Paper. Ink! Consequences. He didn't thank me. I didn't expect her to. I turned and walked away, never once looking back. Back at my condo, mine alone now. I slipped out of my coat and let the quiet settle around me like a soft blanket. No jazz playing, no visitors. Just a sense of peace I hadn't felt in years. A silence that didn't ache. It comforted. Weeks passed. Alan tried once more to show up, standing outside my building with a single red rose and that same smug smile he used to wear when he thought charm could erase anything. I didn't let him inside. I didn't argue. I just met him at the front entrance with a folder, a copy of the prenuptial agreement he signed 10 years ago and had clearly forgotten. I watched the confidence drain from his face as he read the clause that protected all premarital and inherited assets, which included the condo, the trust, and everything I had built on my own. He blinked as if seeing me for the first time. But I'd been there all along. You never had anything to start fresh with, I told him, and I'm not in the business of recycling broken men. He didn't fight. He didn't apologize. He just turned and left, and I closed the door behind him, like closing a chapter in a book I no longer needed to reread. Later that month, I received a small card in the mail, no return address, but the handwriting was unmistakable. Happy birthday, I still think you overreacted, but I hope you're well. Lucille, no love, no sorry, no recognition of what she'd taken, or how deeply she'd wounded me. But in her own cold, stubborn way, it was probably the closest she'd ever get to remorse. I set the card down beside my breakfast plate. No cake this year. No long table surrounded by fake smiles. Just a simple meal of eggs, roasted potatoes, and fresh coffee. The light streamed in through the linen curtains, soft and golden. It made the room glow like the warmth came from within the walls. My home didn't have chandeliers or imported marble, but it had something their house never did. Peace somewhere. A jazz tune played softly in the background, a saxophone humming a melody that didn't ask for applause. I poured myself a glass of sparkling water and smiled, raising it gently toward the open window. To peace, I whispered. The kind you build yourself. Because the truth is, they thought they were putting me in my place when they laughed at me, when they humiliated me on my birthday and called me a guest in a room I'd paid for. But they didn't realize I had already built a place of my own. Stone by stone, document by document, decision, they mistook silence for submission, forgetting that silence is sometimes just strategy. After the trust, control shift. After the audit, after the forensic accounting revealed the shell companies and forged amendments, I finally understood that the strength I had wasn't in my patience, it was in my preparation. While they dined and toasted and gossiped, I planned, I recorded, I protected. Not just my assets, but my peace of mind. And even though I never raised my voice, I was heard. So, if you've ever been in a room full of people who claim to love you but make you feel invisible, if you've ever been mocked by those who've benefited from your quiet strength, I want you to remember this. Sometimes the loudest message you can send is walking away with your head held high, leaving nothing behind but the truth and a locked door. That morning, as I set my dishes in the sink and let the sunlight warm the tile beneath my feet, I thought back to 1 year ago, washing dishes after a dinner I cooked for people who never said thank you. This year, I washed only one plate, mine, and I felt full. Have you ever had to walk away from people who were supposed to protect you? Share your story below. I read every single one.